Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm bringing you a quick video about the new intro sequence we got for House of the Dragon. Obviously the Game of Thrones intro sequence that we've had for a long time is one of the most iconic ones we've had, so there was a lot of pressure on them to deliver with House of the Dragon, and we got this new intro sequence for episode 2 of the first season. And I quickly want to cover what it's showing because I think while I personally like it is a bit confusing, so I think it will help to kind of go over it and discuss what exactly is going on here. And just, the general concept here is it's a family tree, more or less, but it's a bit of a complicated family tree, and the way they visualize it isn't that clear. So that's why I quickly want to go over this intro and show you where the main points are and what you need to take away from it. Regarding the music, it's the same music as we had in Game of Thrones, which has caused a bit of a rift, I would say, in the fandom, where people are like, well, why did they just reuse the same thing? Um, Personally, I think it's fine. Like, I think the Game of Thrones music is iconic, and it gets me hyped every time I hear it. So, yeah, for me, it's okay. Like, I don't mind them reusing that, but I've seen a lot of people who do, so I also get that. I was more expecting them to go for a music that had the original theme but would mix it with some Targaryen elements, but they just stuck with what they had for the original show. Yeah, but I want to focus more on the visuals here, and then towards the end of the video, I will quickly give you like what I think of it overall. So let's get right into it. So we start off with this first frame where we see the Doom of Illyria. You see we have like multiple dragons, one dragon falling here, and like it seems like they're screeching, and the building at the back, it might be a volcano actually. Yeah, so lots of dragons we can see here, and it looks like dragons are dying. So this is depicting the Doom of Illyria. And what I want you to focus on is actually the bottom of this yeah, the circular thing, where you can actually see something that looks like a crown. And this is actually supposed to be the crown of Aegon the Conqueror, um, which is the first hint that this is actually supposed to portray a family tree. So this circular mural is supposed to represent Aegon in the family tree. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on here. It kind of represents the Doom of Illyria and the fact that the Doom of Illyria led to us getting Aegon's conquest and Aegon being the king. So this is his node, and then you can see it fills up with blood, and then basically his bloodline starts from here, and it trickles down, and then we get two more of these murals, and basically what this is supposed to be is his two sister wives. On the left side we have the mural that would be Visenya. It's hard to say what's on it because it's pretty dark on that side, but on the right side we have the one that's for his second wife, which is Rhaenys. And on her mural, like, it was hard to actually say what exactly it was. Like, I zoomed in quite a lot to figure out what was going on here, but what I've settled on, it looks very much like a dragon skull with yeah, a crossbow bolt through its eye. I think this is supposed to be Meraxes, who is Rhaenys' dragon, and she famously during the conquest, or after the conquest, they were fighting the Dornish wars, and she flew her dragon to Dorne, and through a miraculous shot, the Dornish people were actually able to bring down her dragon and kill it by hitting it in the eye with a crossbow bolt, or yeah, with a scorpion bolt. So that's kind of what we're seeing here. So this is depicting Rhaenys, and I also want you to check exactly what's happening in the back there at the wall. It looks very much like this is a dragon or multiple dragons, yeah, killing a lot of people on the ground. I think this is supposed to represent Aegon's conquest, and specifically the Field of Fire, where Aegon conquered the kingdoms of the Westerlands and the Reach. So yeah, I think that's what's going on here. And since this is the Targaryen bloodline, we're going to follow Rhaenys' path because that's the one that's relevant for this show. So again, you can see her node, let's say, fills up with blood, and we continue with her bloodline. And now here on the left side, we can see the node for her son with Aegon, who would be Aenys, who was the king after Aegon. And on his mural, we can see this. Also, I think it's a different type of crown, and it looks to me like it's a sword. I think he had Dark Sister, actually. So I think it's kind of supposed to represent those two things from his side. And yeah, we follow his bloodline now because that's how this family tree evolves, and then we get this thing. So I'll let it run quickly a bit. So let's pause it here. Now, what we have here, you can see, is a connection between two people, and this is supposed to be the old King Jaehaerys. You can make that out with the crown that you can see on the right side here, because that crown is the one we've seen the old king wear at the Great Council of 101 AC. So that means on the left side we have his sister wife, which would be Alysanne Targaryen, who is also the daughter of Aenys. Yeah, so this is supposed to represent this is supposed to represent old King Jaehaerys and his sister wife, good Queen Alysanne. And you can see that this blotch in the middle that's coming from them, they actually have 13 kids, so I think that's what this is supposed to represent. Though I was only able to count 9 streams that are going out. I assume they took out like stillbirths and like infancy deaths and stuff, so I think that's what's happening here. I think it's supposed to be 10 actually, but I don't know if this is like supposed to be literal, how many kids of theirs survived or anything. So yeah, but what we will see is like we follow again 2 particular streams, and here we see 2 of their children. On the right side we have Balon Targaryen, who is actually the father of the 2 Targaryen brothers we see in the show, Viserys and Daemon. And on the left we see their mother, who is Alyssa Targaryen. And the way you can figure out that this is Balon and Alyssa is on the right. You can see this right node. It has actually what looks like the hand of the kingpin as the decoration. So that, and Balon was actually the hand of the king to his father. So that's kind of how you can figure that out. On the left side, on Alyssa's, we actually don't see anything, and I think that's because we just don't have any reference as to what type of artifact she might have had. So I think they just went with, okay, let's just leave it empty here. Yeah, so they both were married, and we follow their bloodline. In this visual, their blood flows down here, and you can see it goes into 2 streams. And first we see the left stream, and this, in this case, it should be Daemon's stream that's being filled here. It's hard to tell what exactly is on that mural of his. So yeah, I couldn't make it out, and I also couldn't make it out, like if you look in the background here, there is another mural that, yeah, I don't think there is any blood going to it, but there is a mural, so I don't know what that's supposed to represent. Maybe that's something that we'll find out later as this thing evolves over the episodes. But yeah, I think this, on the right side we have Daemon's mural, and yeah, that fills up, and then we focus on the next thing, which is, so first let me quickly stop it here, because one thing I want you to notice again is if you look in the background, you'll see another set of nodes there, and you can see on top, like, one is filled with blood, and on the second one that we can see, it actually again looks like it has that hand of the kingpin. And I will get back to this actually, because I think we will see this one once again. So you can see in the background already there is this one connection. So let's put a pin in that, and I think we'll get a clearer look at this later. And we focus on these 2 nodes for now. And these 2 nodes, you should probably be able to tell who these are, because these are 2 main characters that we saw in the first episode. On the left side here we have King Viserys Targaryen, who again has the same crown that Jaehaerys had. We've seen him wear this in the show. And on the right side we have his wife, Aemma Arryn, who very tragically died in the first episode. And the way you can make it out, it seems like there is an Arryn sigil with the moon and the falcon on her mural, and she was an Arryn. She was half Targaryen and half Arryn, so that's how you can tell that it's her. And here I want to point out again that what this blood filling up the nodes mean. So you can see on the right side, Emma's node fills up with blood, but Viserys's doesn't. So this represents death. You can see all the previous characters that we've seen except Daemon, all of their nodes filled up with blood. So all the dead characters in this their nodes will be filled with blood, and all the alive characters will just stay normal, like you can see on the left with Viserys. Yeah, I think this is a nice touch, because this is again a way that they will evolve these things as people start dying. we will see differences in this intro. And yeah, if we move a little bit further, so this is a slight spoiler for the second episode. But so the mainstream you're supposed to follow is the one that combines the Emma and Viserys' bloodline, right? But I also want you to notice on the left bottom what is happening there. You can see there is a small other bloodstream that's coming out of Viserys, and that kind of gives us a hint about something that happens towards the end of episode 2. So that's cool. This already hints at that we might follow this path in the next episode to see what happens there. But for now, we just follow their blood. And one thing I want you to notice again is that this bloodstream is actually running towards the left, but the next thing we see is a separate bloodstream. And I think this is the one that we previously saw in the background. And now you can see clearer. The note on the top left actually has that hand of the kingpin. And it is not filled with blood. That means this character that is being represented here is alive. So the hand of the king at the moment is Otto Hightower. So that's what I think this is. And on top of it, like in the previous setting of this particular stream we saw a note that was filled with blood. So I think that would be his wife. And then you find this note at the bottom that's like central but to the bottom of the frame here, and that I think is supposed to represent their daughter Alicent Hightower. I think on her mural we can actually see the High Tower of Old Town. So that's an interesting addition. Again, if you've seen the second episode, you will know why they are here. So I think that's what they're representing. Cool to see. It was hard to kind of figure out what was happening here. I had a lot of theories. I thought it might be Rhaenys and her children or something, but I am pretty sure that this is Otto and Alicent Hightower. So we fill that bloodline, and then we go back to the one we were following before, and this is probably the most obvious one. So we get this mural where we have this logo, and this logo should remind you basically of this necklace, which is Rhaenyra's necklace that she got from Daemon. So this mural is supposed to represent Rhaenyra. Very nicely done, and this is the one they're focusing on because Rhaenyra is one of the main characters, obviously, and I think in the first 2 episodes she's been portrayed as the main character of the show, so it makes sense to kind of give her the spotlight. So this particular mural with the necklace is Rhaenyra. And then we follow this, and I quickly want to pause here because I want to show you there is, we can see another mural on the wall, and it looks like a dragon with a lot of sigils at the bottom, and it's hard for me to realize what exactly is going on here because a lot of these sigils are hard to make out. The one that I could make out is on the right side, like the first sigil from the right. It looks like a lion, so that might be a Lannister sigil. I think this might be representing the Seven Kingdoms, maybe at the time of the conquest. Obviously, there are more than 7 sigils here. So, I don't know if that exactly makes sense. I haven't been able to decode this exactly. So, if you have any idea what this exactly is showing, let me know. This is one that I kind of, I'm not exactly sure about, but I think it's an interesting mural, and it's something I will keep my eye out for the other openings in the remaining episodes to see like if we see more of this and more of other murals that kind of show us Targaryen history, because I think this looks like it's pretty well planned out. But we move on from there and we go into the bloodstream, and then we just switch the view. Now we're outside of this thing and we get this view of this building, and basically this building is where we started off. So this shows again the whole tree once more. At the top was Aegon, and then the blood flows down into his sisters. You can see that big splotch with the 9 outgoing streams that represents Jaehaerys and Alysanne, and then right below them you can see the Balon and Alyssa part that we talked about, and then that splits into the 2 streams that represent on one side Daemon and on the other side Viserys. So that's kind of what's going on here. And one thing I find interesting is this building. I think this building is part of the model that Viserys is building in the show, actually. It looks very similar. It looks like a Valyrian building. This does not look like a building in the Seven Kingdoms. So I think this might be actually part of Viserys's model, which a lot of people were theorizing that maybe that will be the opening sequence. So yeah, I think that is actually what is happening, but that's just my guess. Yeah, overall, so before I go to overall, let's just focus on this last image. We get this like House of the Dragon logo that's basically the drainage for the blood. So the whole blood is flowing into it, and then we get the House of the Dragon logo, which I think is a nice touch. That, yeah, this show is really about these bloodlines, about this house that, yeah, has this complicated history going on, a lot of nodes, like you yeah, I quickly went over all that we saw, but obviously that's not everything they were. As I mentioned, Harrison Elizan had like 13 children, so we could have gone in a lot of different directions there, so they couldn't show the whole thing, but it gave us roughly an idea of how the lineage looks like, and where how the characters we're following in this show are do connect to Aegon the Conqueror, and yeah, how we got to these characters. I think it does a good job at showing that. Now, my overall thoughts on this, I'm going to be very honest. When I first saw this thing, I had no idea what was going on. And I'm somebody, I've read the books, so for me it was hard to tell what was going on. I think one issue with this is it's not super clear that it's supposed to be a family tree. Like it's trying to like show you the lineage, but I think it's not super easy to understand. So I had to look like online and yeah, people were trying to decode it, and I was like, oh, okay, it's supposed to be a family tree, and then I could follow everything and be like, okay, this is this, this is this. So I do think it's a bit hard to understand, even for people who have read the books and who know this lore stuff. So I think for casual viewers, it's probably even harder to understand what's going on. Personally, I really do like the concept. I think focusing on the Targaryen bloodline is cool. I'm not sure if this is the best execution of it and the clearest execution of it, but I think this particular thing, the way they did it, this particular concept, has a very has a lot of adaptability. So as this bloodline changes, as we get more marriages happening, as we see more children, I think this will change a lot. One of my theories is that we won't always start with Aegon and then show the whole thing. What I think is like we will start with Aegon, and rather than going down the whole bloodline, we'll just zoom out in this building and then maybe go down like directly into Balon and Alyssa, or Viserys's part, and then focus on the characters that are actually in the show, so that we can focus a bit more. Because I think one issue with this also was that it moves super fast. It was really hard to make out all the logos. Like it was hard to say, okay, which node is supposed to represent which one. Like obviously, once you check online and you're like, people start like, yeah, brainstorming together. They're like, oh, okay, this could be this could be this. So I think in that sense, like it was fun yesterday to like see what people were theorizing about, trying to figure all of this out. But I think it could be more clearer, and I think they should maybe change this a little bit for the next few episodes, so that we can focus more on each node, and so that it isn't super fast. But overall, as a concept, I love it. Um, I really think this is a cool concept. I know it's not. It was never going to be as good as Game of Thrones. Like Game of Thrones just it's a very simple concept. Just show the map, right, and show the places we're going to in this episode, and they executed it very well. So I think it was hard to do something that was different yet yeah, had the same impact. So I think this isn't quite that good, but I think for this particular show, with the themes of this show, I think this is good. I think there is a lot of potential to change this up as the story goes on. Maybe we'll see more of these murals, as I mentioned. Maybe we'll start seeing, yeah, we have obviously a lot of the blood part. Maybe we'll start seeing fire or something, because the book this is based on is called Fire and Blood. So maybe something like that will be added here. One thing I'm missing is I was hoping that maybe we'll see some dragons in this to kind of explain which dragon is bonded with which character or something, but they didn't do that. I guess that would make things a bit more complicated. And yeah, one thing they could have done to make it more clear is maybe to the murals, like next to them, add the name of the character that it's representing. Obviously, that would be a bit heavy-handed in terms of like telling people exactly what's going on, but I feel like the way they've done it right now is a bit too cryptic. Overall, yeah, I like it. I'm okay with them sticking with the same music. It's an iconic piece of music, so I think, yeah, just starting the episode with that, it's like you're right in the mood for Game of Thrones again. So I think that was fine. I get why people were why some people aren't the biggest fan of that decision, but personally I liked it. Um, yeah, so that's all for the intro. I hope I was able to bring a bit more clarity to what exactly is happening here. If you have any questions, let me know below. If you think I got anything wrong, also let me know. And yeah, I'm going to post a review for the second episode hopefully tomorrow, and then we'll again have the discussions with Jake a bit later on during the week. Yeah, and in the meantime, if you want to see more about this bloodline, I actually have a story. I actually have a video where I cover the Targaryen backstory for House of the Dragon. So I go over how this particular issue that you're covering in this show, how it evolved throughout the Targaryen bloodline, starting with Aegon the Conqueror and going up until the current timeline. So if you're interested to find out about the background story and see more what all these characters that we see in this intro did and how they play into this whole conflict, you can check that out. I will link it at the end of the video. And yeah, that's it from my side. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.